Hello? Hi there, yes. Is this a private investigator? Yes. Oh, you have them papers for me? Yeah, open up. Let's see what it says. Oh. Black Twitter has concluded what it was. It was Cory. Oh, he cheated. Oh, because all black men cheat. Oh, I didn't know that. So all black men cheat. That's the reason why. Oh, so Cory's the one. So basically, Cory cheated. They don't have no evidence, but on Black Twitter, they said he cheated because all black men cheat. And because obviously he put up a little cryptic message that he definitely cheated. And he's gaslighting her as well. Oh, black men just make me sick. Yeah. I mean, you can't catch a break with black men here. I really think like black women should just divest. Why invest in a black man if all he's going to do is cheat? I definitely hear you. All right, Danny. Thank you very much, Danny. Yeah, you keep investigating. Thank you. Appreciate that. Hey guys, and welcome to Little Blackbird 91. As always, we're here to give you a review of the craziness that's going on in the world. Just spoke to my private investigator, Danny. He informs me that the black women on Black Twitter have concluded that Cory Hardict is definitely to blame. He cheated, and he's now got gaslighting her as well. He is intentionally manipulative as well. He's never been happy. He only married her after having 2 films compared to her, extensive sheet as well. So clearly Cory is to blame. Plus, she's the one, obviously, as well, that actually filed for divorce. So clearly Cory did something. You know what I mean? Like, clearly he did something to her. All right. No, I only play with you guys. But listen, look, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification uploads. We appreciate you. Like, share, subscribe. If you're just joining us, we like to have a bit of a joke and a fun around here. And plus, I've eaten a few too M&Ms as well. So let's get into this. Because this conversation about Tia Marie, she put up a post here as well. She put up a post here to discuss what happened. She says, "I've always been honest with my fans, and today is no different. I wanted to share that Cory and I have decided to go our separate ways. These decisions are never easy, and not without sadness. We will maintain a friendship as we co-parent our beautiful children. I'm grateful for all the happy times we had together. I want to thank my friends, family, and fans for your love and support as we start this new chapter moving forward in our lives." Man, it is so sad. Let's be honest. All jokes aside, let's be absolute real here. I'm saddened, very saddened by hearing this news that Cory Hardict and Tia Mowry, have actually, they're in the process of divorcing. I'm very, very sad about that. Honestly, it's painful to hear. It's painful to see. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate as well. And we don't want to ever see black couples, especially ones like this, who seem to have been quote unquote healthy in this position. But it does make you realize that marriage is really not a joke, and you want to make it as easy on yourself as possible. And also as well, I always say this as well, like, after I heard that news, one thing I really wanted to put in my mind, and this is not even just for you guys but for myself, I said, I need to make sure I have somebody in the ring with me, not my partner, but somebody who wants to support me in my marriage, who wants to see it work. I need people in my background who want to see my marriage flourish. That at all costs, they're gonna drag me by the neck and say, "Coach, you need to work this out." And I want to give them permission to do so, because unless I make a wrong choice in terms of a partner where they're abusive, or they are neglectful or something like that, if I join a person who is really good, what I need is somebody in my corner to remind me, fix the frick up. Like, bro, this is not something, you don't want to lose this marriage. Come on, get on with it. Get in there, fix up. Because what I keep seeing, and by the way, I also want to put this as well across to you guys as well. Don't let the media and watching social media, celebrity marriages and divorces guide your informed thinking. Yeah, I believe you. I agree with that, Sean, as well. You know what I mean? So, don't let the media, only be the part that guides you, because look, people are having good marriages. People are having good marriages, but we always see on our screens of people who break up, and who divorce. And let's just be real, things do happen. And like, if anybody's been in a long-term relationship before, you know how easy it can be, to break up with somebody easily. We had Tom Brady and what's the lady's name? But to be honest, I think she wasn't Christian when they first started, so I'll talk about that another time. But yeah, I think I think for me personally, and also for my partner as well, I think this is really important. I think this is something that needs help. Marriage is something that needs both parties to have people in their corner to remind them why they joined together. Because I'll be honest with you, you can easily forget so quickly. You can tail off so quickly, and I want to make sure I have a successful marriage, and that means both of us need to have people in our corner that are going to remind us that these things, there are moments where you won't like each other, and we're going to have to find a way to work it out somehow, some way. And I need to be reminded that this person in front of me is not my enemy. You know what I mean? So I need to, first and foremost, choosing the right person is important, and then going from there. But yeah, it's very sad to hear the breakup of Cory and Tia. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to know that. Nobody wants to feel that at all. It's not nice to have, honestly. Now, in regards to the situation, I went through Twitter real quickly. I even went through Instagram. Okay, that's why I put the title. They were already blaming Cory already and saying that he's the issue as the reason why this situation is the way it is. Now, the little that I know of Cory and Tia as well, and even some of the comments that I saw as well, and Sean, that's why I highlighted Sean's message here, because there is this kind of narrative around the dynamics between them in the relationship. And again, we're speculating. We're not telling any truths here because we don't know any facts. But as a man, coming into a situation where there is a dynamic where your partner is more successful can also be can be not easy to deal with. So marriage in itself is tough, and then coming into a situation where we know that Cory wasn't the most successful one out of the two. Personally, I don't think he was the most successful one out of the two. I'm not blaming him and not shooting him at all, but again, that can also put a steady pressure. And now, obviously, I have seen him as well, Sean, as well, get into more jobs as well. It proves it can be a shift when someone begins to maneuver out of the position they were once into another position. And you know what's so funny? I did a video on this as well, and it'll be coming out later on today. And it was on this situation, not this situation itself, but on how people were talking about the situation. And it wasn't about Tia and Mowry and necessarily, this particular point here, right? Okay. So here's the reality of things as well. I said this the reason why men date down is because of this. This is why men date down. I'll be very honest with you. See the jokes that are flying out now? See the jokes that are flying around now? That's exactly why I say men date down. Because the jokes that I'm seeing on Twitter are exactly what Caribbean Girl was saying. Like, this is what I know Caribbean Girl's not saying that. She's saying that's what the net is saying, by the way. What you saw, Caribbean Girl, is what I saw. I didn't have to go long. I literally went on Twitter, typed in Cory's name, and these are the things that I saw come up. And this is exactly why I say men cannot date women upwards, because when it doesn't go well, even when it's going well, people make these kind of comments and jokes. Now, of course, somebody can say you shouldn't let jokes ruin your relationship, but let's be honest. Let's not pretend as if it doesn't affect you in some type of way. Okay. Oh, it's Mowry. Sorry, not Maria. Mowry. Sorry, I've been slaughtering her name. Okay. So it can be difficult. I'm not saying that's actually the reason why they broke up, by the way. We're just discussing some of the things that we see on the net as well. So, like, yes, when you're seeing comments like this, and they're not from men, they're from women saying this, saying that, making jokes at least. She found him at the bus stop, of a hood. The reason why they're making those jokes is because, again, we actually do conform a lot of times to the stereotypes, and we conform to status and how that looks like. So yes, the jokes will come out, right? they were roasting Devon as well. Yeah. So yes, status wise, Silver Shadow. Yes, status wise, financially, power wise, men tend to date down, because it ain't gonna be us that you're about to banter and use us for jokes. Because I spoke about this, how that when women tend to be in positions of power and positions of financial wealth and status, and tend to be more than the man, disrespect can creep in real quick. Y'all don't know, because y'all don't usually have this position, but we know. We see it. Okay. It's not every woman that does this, by the way. I'm just saying that how quickly a disrespect can creep in because of what we expect each individual to play a role in. We expect men to tend to lead financially. We expect men to lead in status and in power. So when they're not doing those things, hey, the jokes can start to fly. So yes, when I say men tend to date down, that's what I mean. Look, how many times you see a black man or a white man or a blue man or a green man, okay, date upwards? You rarely see it. You know what I mean? Oh, Nazareth, thank you very much. Nazareth Gahazi, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you, sis. God bless you. Let me put my cash up there. Let me not be proud. Guys, you can send your cash ups if you feel blessed by me. I'm never gonna reject it. I'm gonna accept it and receive the blessings y'all given. So, honestly, it's sad to see. It is sad to see between Tia and Mowry as well. So. David said get your dollars up first, and again, the dollars are in, get your money up is in context to your partner, because the level is dependent upon what level you are at to what level she's at. You know what I mean? So because the starting block, and again, we're taking slightly away from Tia and from Cory and talking generally now as a principle. But when you start talking about relationship dynamics, when there are power dynamics, especially when a woman tends to be in that powerful lead, it triggers a man's ego, but it also triggers a woman's ego. People don't realize that it triggers both people's egos. Both men and women have egos, and it triggers them in different ways. Like money, wealth, power can give you, a sense of an ego. And then when you also are the person, when you're also the person on the other side who is the lesser in relationship in terms of power dynamics, you can also be triggered in your ego. It can make you feel some type of way. So yes, it does change things. So that's why I said this in my other video. It's going to come out in a few days time. I said men date down so they don't be outshone. Right? Men date down so they won't be outshone, and women date up so they can feel special. Right? So do you see what I'm saying? So women date up because they want to feel special with that powerful man, and men date down because they want to be able to not be outshone. And it sounds so bad, but it honestly is so that both parties biologically don't trigger certain wires within their way of thinking. It's sad to say, it might be sad to say, and someone might say, well, you guys are not evolved, da, 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 da. You can say that, darling. Go and try and see what happens. You know, go and try and see what happens. And what people don't realize is, Kimco says, she was already famous. She picked him up at the bus station. Maybe she needed that, or thought that might make him stay, or that he'll be grateful. I can't remember. Did she actually pick him up at the bus station? I can't remember this situation. I can't remember. I feel like the story, there's some actual truth to the story. I feel like there's some truth to the story. You know what I mean? I genuinely feel like there's some truth to the story, and I can't remember why. She actually did, didn't she? Okay, I thought so, because I was hearing, I was like, this sounds really familiar, that it genuinely sounds real, that she picked him up from a bus station. Now, look, I'm not again saying this is exactly why they broke up. We don't know. I don't have enough evidence. I don't have enough investigation to do this. But what I am saying is that oftentimes when there is a big dynamic between a man and a woman, where the man makes less or is less of a status and power, there is usually an issue both sides. A man's ego takes a hit, a woman's ego goes up, and what can happen is disrespect can come down. He can also feel like, you know what, he's not good enough, and insecurity can set in, and insecurity meets disrespect causes a crazy storm in a relationship. And sometimes we can miss each other. It takes a strong man to be in a position where he dates up, and it also takes a very strong woman who's very humble and aware as well, just like a man being humble as well, in a position where they have a role reversal in terms of positional play, right? So I remember I said this on a video that was but it was slightly different for them. But I guess it was that video where I spoke about this. I think the men spoke about this recently. This was like last year. The woman that said she retired her husband. And I said, I hope the man is humble. Because if the man is humble, which most of us are not humble, let's be honest, men and women are not humble, let's be real. If the man is humble, when she said, I retired my husband, he will feel no way. But for some of us, when you say you retired us, would have been mad. There are certain things, unfortunately, because of the way we've been driven and thought about and starting to move in a particular direction, it can become very difficult to navigate that space. The other side of things is also what I want to talk about for the men also. Yes, Tabitha Brown, that was it as well. Her name, she was there too. Also as well, from the other side is this, which I don't want to say is a woman's issue. The men's issue too is this. If he was at the bus stop, I don't want to say this, but I have to say this. I have to say this correctly. Let me say it again for you so you understand. Let me say it so you understand this, yeah? This is not, again, let me put this as a disclaimer. I'm not saying it's actually Tia and a Cory situation. But in general, taking a man from the bus stop and he then grows exponentially in that relationship. I mean, I'm talking about grows exponentially. The danger of that situation is, the danger of that situation is that his ego can change so quickly. And I will say this as well. What was fitting for me at the bottom is not fitting for me at the top. Okay? I appreciate you, Sean. I got your pizza later on. Don't worry about that. I got your pizza later on. You know, what is befitting at the bottom is not befitting sometimes of men at the top. Because you see, when I was at the bottom, you were the most amazing thing around. But when I started growing, I realized I could do better than you. Ooh. Like, I don't like saying it, but it's the reality. And I always say this as well. Like, I tell some of my boys, I say, listen, don't cash out this game. If you are a creative, If you are somebody who is a creative, like your thing is like sports or music or dance or YouTube or presenter, like, you know, like you're a creative. You're not a 9 to 5 person, because 9 to 5, you don't grow exponentially. I don't want to lie to anybody. I don't want anyone to feel bad. I'm not cussing anybody. I'm saying when you work 9 to 5, you don't go from 20K to 150K, 200K in an instant. It takes a little bit of time. Yeah. All right. It takes a little bit of time. But if you're a creative, if you're creative, it can be very, I'm not saying you shouldn't do this, by the way. Listen to what I'm saying. It works for some people. It works for some people, but I want you to understand, but for creatives, it's a dangerous place to be, because he or she is looking at the potential they have now. And the potential they have now means there are doors that are opening that are so different to what they were opening before. Imagine this. One day you are standing in the crowd watching Beyonce perform. The next day you're performing next to Beyonce. It's mind-blowing. Someone said, Simply Winner said, are you saying wait until you blow up then settle down? I'm saying each individual person must know themselves. Are you content right now in the season? If you're not, and you know it's not, I would advise you to just to hold off a little bit. Don't cash out too early. Don't cash out too early. You don't live the normal civilian life. Like we like to give rules for everybody. It doesn't exist. If you are not a 9 to 5 kind of person, you are somebody who is a creative at heart, meaning you want to create. You're in the creative field. Your potential can grow exponentially within a minute, and how you see the world can change drastically. You got to be very careful. Because what you thought was good for you at the bottom, it's no longer good enough when you get to the top. This is why you see it. Because in a 9 to 5, let's be honest, if you're working, I worked in 9 to 5, I know. Let's say you worked in banking, yeah? Let's say I worked in banking. It will take a very long time. For most people, it can take 5, maybe even 10 years. You become VP. You might become a VP of your bank or whatever, right? But it takes 5-10 years of grafting, and even the growth is what I would say for most people. It's not exponential. It's not quick growth. It's almost like the chicken that is being fed with the juice so that it outgrows its legs. Most people don't grow like that in 9 to 5, right? Most people don't grow like that 9 to 5. Most people don't grow like that. Someone said, Miss Cole said she was in the Instagram comments yesterday. She didn't want to be the steadfast wife to a cheating man. Did he cheat? I don't know. Did he cheat? I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. You know? 9 to 5 doesn't grow in the same way. It doesn't grow in the same way. So that person in a 9 to 5 has time to adjust accordingly. And the power dynamics that becoming a VP of your bank does not give you access to women. I'm talking about men now specifically. Does not give you access to women the way it does when you become a superstar. If you now throw a concert and you become this superstar, or you have a hit song on TikTok and it blows, and suddenly you can fill out a 10,000 arena, you don't get the access to women that a 9 to 5 would do. You're not even in the same block. 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 You're not even in the same arena. I'm telling you, you're not even in the same arena. It's a different change of mindset. And this is the difficulty for those who are in creative fields. So what I'm saying is, for those in creative fields, they should hold off. I know it sounds mad, from a Christian perspective. I would say, listen, you know what God has told you. You shouldn't be having sex before marriage. You shouldn't be engaging in the madness. If you're going to stay single, keep yourself away from some of the madness. That's my Christian perspective, and I agree with that. Yeah? But for those who are not Christian, who don't abide by the law of the book, you know what I mean? I can't hold the gospel over your neck. It doesn't make no sense. So from a practical point of view, and we see this with footballers all the time as well, football players or soccer players for Americans, in their 20s, They're out just having sex. They're consistently cheating. And the reason why they keep cheating is because women just keep throwing themselves at them. It said Sean is at lost. Like, get out of here, Sean. Right? Get out of here. So it's like you realize that, you know, these sports people and stuff, the attention that comes. Let me tell you something. Attention is addictive. You know, attention is addictive. The problem is you have a constant supply of this drug, and when you have that constant supply of this drug, it's easy to misfire on your marriage. Easy. I honestly feel like people have to mature in growth in these areas. You have to mature. But also same with that as well. Like I said, there needs to be some educations. There needs to be some educations as well about marriage and the difficulties of marriage, and knowing how to grow and knowing how to navigate certain parts of relationship. Honestly, thank you, Rochelle White. I appreciate you. Honestly, love for that. You know, there needs to be a process of understanding this, because once you take these vows, we have to have people around us. You know, we have to have people close to us. You know, we have to have people that are gonna be, you know, gonna support us in that journey. And that, someone says, shout out to PAs. Listen, and like I said, that 9 to 5 person who exponentially grows has his biggest threat is the PA, because that person has access to them consistently, which is why they tend to cheat with either a PA or one of their subordinates. You know, you notice that it's normally one of their subordinates. It's not normally somebody on the same level. It's usually one of their subordinates when they go to a higher level. Again, because why? Because that person who's usually a subordinate looks at them in a powerful situation. I want to tell you something that someone told me. One of my partners in the past told me this, and I've never forgotten it. One of my partners in the past, and this is why I clocked what's happening. I liked a particular girl back in the day, and I ended up in a play, and I was the lead of the play. I did some acting back in the day. Don't watch that. You understand? Did some acting back in the day, and I ended up as the lead in the play. I came off the stage, and the girl said to me, "I don't know what it is, but when I saw you on stage, I just found you so attractive. It's like I felt like you were just, I don't know what it is, just seeing you on the stage." And I was like, so the time I've been struggling to get your attention, this all it took for me was to be on the stage. Now I didn't understand this. I was very, very young. I didn't understand this. But with wisdom and time, you start to realize power is attractive to women. So men tend to cheat oftentimes with the subordinate because the woman sees him in a more powerful situation. We would call it a power dynamic, but it's also the very thing that causes the attraction to happen. This is why oftentimes you see men dating down, but also they cheat down too. Do you see what I'm saying? So it makes it difficult. Do you see? So my thing is, someone said they're messy. I hear you. They are. It did it to me as well. You know, yes, not only a man in power, but he handles his power. Yes, absolutely. Okay. So that's why it becomes such a tetchy situation. So when we are talking about Tia Mowry, and we're talking about Cory Hardict, you know, if there has been a shift in the paradigm. Also, what people don't realize as well is this, right? Let me tell you something. Men often suffer with this, but when women get into powerful positions when it comes to a relationship between men and women, you know, we have no clue. We don't know if he's cheated. We don't think he's cheated. We don't know if that's the case. We don't have no clue. But what we want to say is this. What you'll realize is that when you do have a woman in a powerful position, and it normally happens to men because they're usually the ones that are the one that have the most wealth, most power, most status in a relationship. When you have a woman in that situation, she suffers the exact same thing that men suffer, right? So same thing, what happens is this, right? If the relationship was one way beforehand, so basically in the relationship, because you didn't have as much power, I could predict your behavior. And that made me feel safe, because you have to understand something. We are human beings who like patterns. We don't like change too much. Too much change ain't good. So when you have a situation where, for instance, the woman is the one in power, she will suffer the same fate that men usually suffer, which is having somebody who's of a lesser power dynamic, not as a co-equal, but lesser power dynamic. What can happen is, I'm used to you doing X, Y, and Z and thinking X, Y, and Z. The trouble comes when you come out of position, not in a bad way, but when you come out of position because now you have a bit more power. So let's say, for instance, Cory has now got some jobs coming through. He's starting to gain a bit more attention. He's starting to He's starting to grow. He's starting to, take on different jobs. He's starting to maneuver and maybe he might even start feeding himself a little bit, right? Now what happens is you become unpredictable. When you become unpredictable, that's a scary place to be for the other person, because they're used to having you in a particular dynamic. This was actually on Family and Fiancé, and Dr. Tracy explained this as well, which was really powerful, because it's exactly what it is. People get used to you acting X, Y, and Z and having a certain level of access or control over you X, Y, Z. When you come out at that space, it can be scary for people because you're doing something different to what they're used to you doing. Now, you know how I feel about this last name situation anyway, Sean. You know how I feel about this last name situation. Ain't nobody going to Chris Brown saying, Chris Brown, let me hyphenate your name. Ain't nobody going to Chris Brown, if that's even, I don't know if that's even his real name, but ain't nobody going to Chris Brown and saying, Chris Brown, let me hyphen your last name. Do you know why? Because he's more powerful. You just take his name on. I always say this. That's why I always said that when you hyphen the name, what it really means is, I believe we're the co-equals, and you know what? At any given moment, I already told you this, you're going to have some trouble. That's my personal thought. That's my personal thought. I know some people will disagree and say, hey, I think, it's attached to patriarchy, Let it be what it be, okay? Let it be what it be, but I'm going to say it again. I don't think that's the reason why Tia and Cory are in the situation they're in, by the way. I'm just talking about my personal thoughts to the situation, okay? All right? So, me personally, that's what I would say. Kanye and Kim hyphenated her name, and again, what was happening with them? I won't say anything. And again, what was happening with them? And again, what was happening with them? But that's my personal thought. I'm not even saying that you have to follow that same route. I just said this is my personal thought. When people don't take on last names, hey, it's up to you guys to do it. It's not a guarantee that if you take the name, it's going to make your relationship work. No, not at all. Doesn't mean that at all. Jada Pinkett, iPhone Will Smith name, and look where he is, and look what Will Smith is doing, and look what he's doing. Look what he's doing. You know what I mean? Like I'm bantering, but I'm bantering a little bit. Do you know what I mean? It's I'm bantering a little bit, but honestly, that's my personal thoughts. Do men perceive hyphenating name means you have an exit strategy? Do you know what? Can I be honest with you? I think there's a more growing audience of men who are comfortable with hyphenating their names. I think there are. I'll be honest with you. Just like there are more men comfortable 50-50. It's a growing phenom. And I don't think it's going to change. I think it's going to continue and it's going to get bigger and wider. Do I think someone should hyphenate their name? I personally don't think they should. I think they should take on the name of that man. And I always say this, that there will always be powerful men in this world. And those powerful men will never hyphenate their name because they don't need to. So what we're really saying is, you're not powerful enough for me to hyphenate my name. I believe we're on the same level. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. You know, if Chris Brown asks you, if Usher asks you, I mean that's not their real name. Clear, it's not their real names. Obviously, I'm just kind of saying them. If they ask you to change your name, are you going to fight them now? Are you going to fight them now? And most people might. Some people are going to show they were going to cap. They're going to show they're going to cap. They're going to cap some more. They're going to cap and cap some more. I totally understand you're going to cap. Okay? Absolutely going to cap. Right? But most people wouldn't. Most people wouldn't. They would happily take on that person's name. Think of your favorite movie star. Think of your favorite male figure. Ask yourself, would you not change your name? Most of you would. But this is why I said that you have to look at it, because then you may be calling me and saying I may have a bit of an ego. I'm looking at you going, you have an ego, because you're unwilling to relinquish that name because you also have an ego. Absolutely so. I 100% agree this point. This is a true point. If she has status and power, she'll hyphenate, which is why I said men date down. Okay? This is why I said men date down. This is why I said men date down, because when we date equally, this is what will happen. We will have a power dynamic struggle. There's no need. Let us stay where we are. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So for me, again, I couldn't do it. Talisa says, I'm an individual with my own identity, and that's fine. Listen, I'm not. Again, I believe there'll probably be a guy who potentially would rock with that, but the majority of guys don't rock with that because we understand what it actually means. It has a meaning when you don't take. It's like when you don't want to take that name on. What you're saying is, I subscribe to my own field. I do my own thing, and although we are individuals within a relationship, we are still one. So we should have one name, but we're hyphenating it. And I'm like, why would you hyphenate it? Like somebody said, I would hyphenate it, but then I'll give my kids my father's name. Why? Right? Why? Hyphenate the name. We even think about the logistics of this. Hyphenate your name. Hyphenate our names. Your kids then hyphenate their names when they get married, and they hyphenate some more. It's just a never-ending source of madness. You'll come back to the very end where you'll come and do one name at the end. You understand? By 3 or 4 generations, we'll all be on one name again. You know what I mean? So, you know, it be like that, you know? And like I said, you know, that's what it be. Someone said, what if the man's surname is crazy and nothing to do with your culture? It'll be like you suddenly having a Japanese name. Yeah. But if that Japanese man was cool, was accepted by society, was a top good, and if you put it this way, put that man and elevate him. Don't make him a normal guy. Elevate him and then transpose how you would feel about that elevated character and make him a normal man. Don't go from normal to exciting. Go from the top man in the world who you date and then bring him down and ask yourself the same question. Would you take on his name? If his name was Japanese and he was a top guy in the world, would you take his name? And if the answer is yes, that is what I mean by the disrespect, that as men we're reading that as disrespect, because what you're saying is you don't have the leverage, the power, nor the status, nor the wealth to tell me what to do. I will not take on your name. That's how men read it, because they see what you would do for other people. That's why I said for a lot of men, not most, let me say for a lot of men, it becomes a problem, because the very things you're saying you wouldn't do for a person on the co-equal level who you should be working with, you'd say no. But if it's somebody higher than you, you would take on those roles. You wouldn't even argue. So then for those men, they're like, wait, so well, hold on. So you would do it for that guy, but you wouldn't do it for someone who's on the same level as you. So what you're really saying is, I don't respect you. That's what we're listening. That's what we're feeling. That's what we're feeling. And the reason why a lot of times I feel like women also too are talking about that identity is because, let's be real, we've had beef with black men. Let's keep it black people. We're talking about specifically black people because we're not going to talk about everybody else. Whatever they do is what they do, but we are talking about black people on here. I totally understand as well where if you've been hurt, black men haven't done this for you, haven't done this for you, your father figure weren't there, or boyfriends in the past have been trash, and so I get it. So there are going to be some resistances because why don't you take on another person's name? I totally get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. Totally get what you're saying. I totally understand what you're saying in that respect. I get you, but it doesn't change the fact that it can be read as disrespect. He says you don't have a slave last name, Kojo. American black people are fighting to keep slave masters' last names, but you're not fighting over. You're fighting to hyphenate your name, not to change your name to a completely new name. So whilst I get that point, nobody here have I seen so far have women said we want to change our name completely. Let's coin a completely new name. Look through the comment section, and you'll see nobody here in this instance has asked to say let's have a completely new name. Beyonce and Jay-Z are a completely different thing because Beyonce is as powerful as Jay-Z, if not more powerful than Jay-Z. You can't even compare the two. You are not Jay-Z and Beyonce. Beyonce and Jay-Z are Beyonce and Jay-Z. Beyonce is as powerful as Jay-Z. If Beyonce did not have the power that Beyonce had, it would be a totally different scenario. Beyonce is as powerful as Jay-Z, which is why I'm saying to you that most people, this is not the reality. Why not coin a new name? Can you stop with the generalizations? Some black men. I said some black men. I didn't say all. I said some black men. I didn't say all. I didn't. You didn't hear me say all. I specifically said some. I specifically said some. So hey, if slavery is a big issue, let's coin some new names. All right, let's coin some new names. I mean, personally, it ain't gonna be me. Because my name is I don't believe my name is of the slave trade, so it ain't gonna be me. You know what I'm saying? Ain't gonna be me. As for me, my name is not slave trade, so I don't have that issue to discuss that issue. But and I spoke about this before as well, about the fact that as a leader, my name means so much because the accountability is on my head and shoulders. And that's why I said that I think a lot of the fight isn't about the name. A lot of the fight isn't even about your identity. A lot of the fight that women are having with men over this name situation is about the fact that there are trash men that you keep encountering who you feel don't deserve you to have for you to take their name on. Why should you give up you when they are unwilling to give up them for you? I think this is where the fight really is. The fight really is really there, right? The fight is really at the point of the fact that women are having are encountering the same, and I want to say this as well, you keep encountering the same trash men, okay? Same trash men. And unfortunately, and I'm talking about just daddies, I'm talking about brothers, I'm talking about uncles, I'm talking about cousins, I'm talking about friends, I'm talking about boyfriends, husbands. Having trash men in your life will naturally make you, and I think we're in a generation now where naturally people will not want to take on that name, and the reason why they won't want to take on a man's name is because of pain, hurt, and they don't feel safe enough to take the man's name. And I think that's fair. I ain't gonna fight with you on that. It just can't be me. I think that's fair. It just can't be me. It just can't be me. So for me, yeah, It's not my thing, Yeah, I agree, Felicia. Most women do. I'm not saying that's the reason why marriages end, by the way. I specifically said as well, that doesn't mean the reason why marriages end. I'm saying about the fact that there's contention already at the very beginning. You know what I'm saying? I said it brings contention straight away within a relationship because it starts off on a particular slope. You start on a particular platform. You know what I mean? Men don't get that women don't want to be under a man. We don't equate submission with being led. How do you mean men don't get that women don't want to be under a man? Like I said, what you're talking about is only when you're co-equal. I've never heard that from when you're not a co-equal. When you're co-equal, then you say that. When there's a power dynamic between the two people, when that man is a great man, that's not the conversation that's being had. That's why I said again, men date down. That's why women date up, because they're trying to feel special, and men are trying to also feel like they don't want to be outshone. And obviously, when we're talking about submission again, it's not about people taking advantage of you. Submission is not about you having complete dominance over your partner. Submission is not about abuse. Submission is not about you being able to dictate every single move of your partner. No, that's not submission. What you're talking about is abuse. That's not a relationship at that point. That's not a relationship you want. You know? Jordan Bigelow said, my pap told me to keep my last name. I want to ask a question. Jordan, did your mum also keep her last name? Just not even a shot, I'm just genuinely asking. Did your mum keep her last name? It's a genuine question. I would love to know if your mum and dad, did they hyphen their name as well? Did they hyphen their name, or did they keep their names maybe? I just wanted to kind of get an idea. Let me know in the chat as well. I mean, is the last name why they got? No. We're having a conversation. That's not why they broke up. By the way, That's not why they broke up. That's not why they broke up at all. The reason why they broke up, I don't know. Nobody knows why. It will come out later. I can guarantee it will come out later. It always comes out. A little bit of kind of information comes out eventually. You know. I'd say it comes out a little bit. Yeah. Even as a kid, before any pain, I'm like, I'm already have my name, lol, so I'm keeping it. It's that simple for some women. Okay, if it's not pain, then it's just simply want to keep your name because you like it. I mean, I don't think there's many women. I think there's so many women that in the past, now, present, like their names, but your name is your dad's name. Think about it. Your name that you like is your dad's name. It's not your own. It's your dad's name. We didn't tell you to change your first name, your last name. It's your dad's name, is it not? Or at least if it's your mum's name, your mum had a dad, so it's his name, somebody's name. Or I don't know how long then again, it might be the mum's mum. I don't know. You know, it could technically not be, you know what I mean? So let me not throw that out there, Sherry, as well. But you know what I mean? Like when I hear that, like you like your name, most times I'm like, but if it's your dad's name, isn't that the point we're trying to talk about? You like the name, but it's your dad's name. So now we're saying, if you like the name, you're going to take it. If you don't like the name, you're going to take it. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm not saying it's you, Sherry, by the way. I'm saying in general. When we say things like, okay, I'm only going to take your name because I like your name. So that's exactly a precedence you're starting already in a marriage. I'm only going to do something because I like it. But marriage is not about whether I like it or not. It's whether it's duty filled or not. It's whether it benefits both parties or not. Happiness is good, but it doesn't make a marriage last. Joy does, but happiness don't, because happiness is based on external circumstances. So already the energy's already started. I'm not saying this is Sherry, by the way. This is me making a general statement and saying, if already we start with the whole thing of, I'm only going to take his name because I like his last name. Well, what kind of precedence are you starting in terms of taking decisions in future? Ding dong, the bells are ringing in my head like, you know, I don't think it's a foolish discussion. I think it's an important discussion, Felicia, as well. The whole world doesn't revolve around people who don't have their names. We're talking about other things as well. I think we're having a whole rounded discussion on different things. We talk about so many different things on this channel. I spend my time doing a whole lot of discussions. I don't think this is foolish at all. To call it foolish would be to diminish when people making a particular choice in this instinct. I don't diminish the women who want to do hyphen names. It's not a foolish discussion. I think it's a very good discussion. You know, I think it's a very discussion to have. Whether you agree or not, I can agree and disagree in a respectful manner, and I don't think it's foolish. You may agree, you may not agree. I'm just presenting my case forward. You know. The conversation starts with how many women are marrying men they love but don't trust. Kai, Nenena, hey. Wow. Yeesh. Kaish. Desiree said last night's discussion would happen before marriage. If the man is offended, they should seek counsel and decide whether reason should stop them from moving forward with marriage. I wouldn't even we wouldn't even have got this far. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't have got this far. See, like me now, yeah. I said this before. I'm now a person that if I said I want to do this thing, I'm going to do it. Because what I realize is about women is women respect men that stay true to their course. See all this, I'm trying to be accommodating all the time as a man. I'm not saying you shouldn't be accommodating. I'm saying when you're trying to be accommodating all the time, trying to bend all the time, it never benefits you as a man. It never benefits you as a man. It always ends in you losing. I tell men this all the time. Learn how to hold strong to your point, because women are looking for you to lead. They can say whatever they want to say, and this may be disagreeing with you guys. Women can say whatever they want to say, but they want good leadership. Now, whether you get the thing wrong or not, the fact that you were taking a decision is very important. Now, of course, not saying it in an egotistical way, not in a dominating way, not in a you don't get a say kind of way, but in a way of is he going to be decisive? Opinion, which is I wouldn't even be we wouldn't be getting deep into. I know that you'd want to take my last name. I'm a great man. I don't care what anyone says. I believe I'm a great man. So as far as I'm concerned, my name is great. I'm great. You are also great. We're going to be great together underneath the umbrella of Ampadu. You understand? We're going to be great already underneath the impression of Ampadu. And that means also, first and foremost, I am accountable for my whole community, meaning my family. I'm accountable. I'm also responsible with what happens within the household. And when things go wrong, I'm also still responsible. Even if I didn't do it, people are going to look at me as a leader as to what did I do within my household? What was I teaching in my household? What was I showcasing in my household? I tell you guys all the time, I show you, I don't just tell you. If I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'll say, hey guys, I did tell you I was right. You know what I mean? I'll joke with you. I'll laugh with you. I'll show you love and affection, and I'll appreciate you. But one thing what I won't be doing is doing some of this stuff where you're like trying to compromise to backstretch yourself to please women. Never worship women. And if you believe in this truth, stick to it as a man. I'm talking to the men right now, not to the ladies. Stick to it as a man. The woman might not like it, but let me tell you something now, she'll respect it. Because one thing that people don't like is backbenders. Within reason. Don't go and take it and say I'm dominating and I'm the man. That's not how it goes. And this is why I always say, men, don't marry women who don't respect you. It will not end in a good marriage. Don't ever marry a woman who does not respect your leadership within the marriage. Don't do it. You'll die an early death. I can guarantee it. You'll die an early death. You don't want to do it to yourself. You understand? So I know some people might not like that, but I mean, it's the reality of what I've seen. Don't be marrying people that don't respect your leadership. And ladies, don't marry but you as an individual, and doesn't respect also your voice and doesn't respect your words. Because as a leader, first and foremost, my wife is going to be astute and going to be smart. It's going to be clever. It's going to be somebody who can see things. And there's going to be things that I cannot see. There are going to be things I cannot see. And when she sees it, I have to listen. I have to peg my ears and, hey, darling, you know what you said there? I'm hearing you. I'm very much hearing you. At this point, I didn't get it. Yeah. So let me readjust. You understand? I'm a person when I lead as well. Just because I'm leading does not mean I don't ask for your help or don't ask for your vision or your plan or what you're seeing, because you're going to see things I cannot see. You understand? It would be foolish of me, if I'm a good, effective leader, to not consider the fact that you have a voice, the fact you have wisdom. Why did I marry you if you don't have wisdom? That makes no sense. Why would I marry you if you don't have wisdom? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for you. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah? Cool. All right. Let's see what we're saying. Jordan said, oh, okay. So Jordan, she had, so your mom had your dad's name, but then your dad told you not to change your name. What? I'm gonna say something. And you're gonna see his comments come out a little bit later on. I think this week when Ready to Love drops. Okay, let me say something ahead of time. Men need to stop teaching their daughters to stop being played, but not teaching them how to be vulnerable. And I'm not talking about the name situation, by the way. I'm talking about, it's a general principle I'm talking about now. So Jordan, it's not specifically to you, but it reminded me of something that I picked up on. I need men and fathers to stop teaching their daughters how not to be played, but then don't teach them how to be vulnerable, because you're now becoming part of the problem. See, you are teaching them how to not get played, but then you don't teach them how to be vulnerable. They need both. No good teaching them not how to get played, but don't teach them how to be vulnerable. Don't teach them how to stay. You know what I'm saying? Like, there needs to be a balance in this. It needs to be a balance in this, and you'll see what I mean, because what happens is there becomes a hyper focus for women when they grow up with fathers who teach them not how to get played. There's a hyper focus for women that they don't want to get played, but then they don't know how to be vulnerable either. So then this guard and this wall goes up all the time when they're dealing with men. It's like, yo, you got to teach them both, bro. We can't teach them one and not the other. So I'm not saying you, by the way, Jordan. Again, I'm talking specifically as an example, because I was watching something Ready to Love, and you'll see what happens when it comes out this week. Why I'm saying what I'm saying. It's like, you got to teach them both. Camilla, if you don't get out of here, Camilla, I'll fight you. I will fight you, Camilla. Jordan, can you explain why he decided to tell you to hyphenate your name, but your mother took his name? I want to know what his wisdom was to why he said that for you. I would love to know why he decided to say for you, be hyphenated, but then your mother has his name. I would love to know. I would love to know. And do you have any brothers? This is really important as well. I would love to know if you're willing to share that, by the way. You don't have to. Because we are online, but yeah, you know what I mean. Oh, okay, you put there. Okay, because of how rare it is, but it's a slave name, so he wants you to keep it because it's a rare name. Do you know what? I thought there was a mirror there, so I was going to put my hand. I was about to put my hand on the mirror, and then I realized my hand slipped through. Okay. Okay. All right. GMF said most women today are co-equals to their partner, so why not hyphenate? Many women run households completely. And you want to complain about why men, there's no space for them? This will be it. I'm not, when we talk about co-equal, it doesn't mean as a human being. As a human being, we're all equal. We're talking about positions that we play. The position that we play within a relationship, right? If you feel you can lead better than I can, guess what's going to happen? You're going to carry a lot more masculine energy. You're going to end up with a feminine man. If you're okay with that, that's cool. I'm not saying it's necessarily good or bad. I'm saying, but if you're okay with that, but if you want a masculine man, there's going to be that contention that's normally going to happen between the two of you, because he wants to lead. I mean, Sasuke said it will definitely come out. Have some tea on Cory. Girl, what's the tea? Oh man, yeah, absolutely true. Bimpe, you're absolutely right. But they have a different culture, meaning there's a different attachment of understanding of why that behavior, what that behavior means. Same reason why if I put my middle finger up, it don't mean the same thing in this culture as it does in another culture. The meaning behind it is what carries the action. The meaning behind it is what the action is carried by the meaning behind it. So if I flip my middle finger up in the Western society, it means something, but to another culture, it might not mean that because it doesn't have that same meaning for that action. So yes, other cultures will have a different way of doing the things. That's not the culture you subscribe to. You don't subscribe to that culture. You subscribe to a completely different culture. So, but I definitely hear that as well. There are different cultures. You know what I mean? Okay. 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 Would have been more fruitful discussion if you speak from the perspective of an African Ghanaian man to educate the Spurs followers so they can learn the African way when it comes to certain issues. Yeah, I mean, we're having a general discussion in general. I already said this. That's my viewpoint. You don't have to take it. See what I'm saying? I just believe there's implications to this because we subscribe to a similar culture. Whether we're African, we're African American, we subscribe to a similar culture in terms of what taking a last name actually means. And that's why I was breaking it down in some ways. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. And in some African cultures, they take the last name. You're actually right. Even in the Ghanaian culture, I believe it is is it the Cans? I have to probably get the name for you guys, but they take the mother's name. They take the one of the mother's name. So there are certain tribes that will do that. Yeah, but again, we're in a particular culture here as well. So it's what you subscribe to as a culture. And if you notice, many people are not talking about. So when we have these arguments and these debates, which I love as well, people will use other cultures. What culture do you subscribe to? You don't subscribe to that culture, so you can't use it as an argument because you don't subscribe to that culture. Using it as an argument as to why men, no, but people subscribe to this. If we talk about the culture you subscribe to, what culture are you subscribed to, and what are the social norms attached to that culture? That will help the discussion a bit more as well. But again, like I said, people have different ways of thinking about certain things. Nika said she wants her daddy's last name back. I hear you. You know. Okay. I hear you. Matthew said, when I get married, I'm going to pray for my wife and ask God to help me and my wife and work in a relationship. Absolutely. Me too. Because I want a successful relationship and marriage. Definitely want to have a successful marriage, and I want to lead in love. You know what I mean? I don't want a dictatorship. I know what a dictatorship feels like in a household. I don't want that. I don't want a relationship where I'm having to dictate everything. I don't want a relationship where it's an unbalanced. And when we talk about power, we talk about their complementary energy. You know what I'm saying? I want to lead effectively, and I want to be that great leader, but I also want to be a person also as well who takes into account I have other people within the household I have to hear their voice. I don't just get to do whatever I want to do. It doesn't mean that. Do I have to do what's right for the relationship? Do I have to take certain decisions? Let me tell you something as well, and maybe this is something that men will talk about. Let me tell you something that men might not talk about in open sphere, those who are married. When I've sat with men that are married and some of the things that they say, they'll tell you, listen to your wife. Wise men will. They'll tell you, listen, there are times where you need to listen to your wife because she has wisdom. Listen to her. Given. Absolute given. And the other side of this is too, there are times where your wife will be absolutely irrational. And you have to be rational in order to go forward and save both you and her. There are two advices that were given. This is what I heard one time. One, listen to your wife. Understand that she has wisdom in her sight and she can see things differently to how you see them. So listen. Then the other side was this too. There are times you must judge where she's been irrational, and you have to take a decision that she might not be pleased with, but in the end she'll appreciate the decision that was taken. That's not every wife, I'm sure. So it's advice that was given amongst elders when I've been around other people's marriages, when the elders start speaking about giving advice. So it's about, again, discernment, you know. Yeah, discernment. Let's see what people are saying. Someone said, so Koji, would you marry a woman you love just because she won't take on your last name? Really? Yeah, I wouldn't marry. I wouldn't love her. We wouldn't be that deep, because that's one of the first conversation we having. How do you feel about me and taking on my last name? How would you feel about taking on a man's last name? If you're not about that life, we don't need to progress any further. We're not getting to the part where I start proposing. Then you're like, oh, by the way, I don't take last names. That's an early conversation for me. If you're on it, you're on it. If you're not on it, you're not on it. So I wouldn't even know if I love you, because we're not getting that far. These are things that people should be having discussion from the very jump. You know? Yeah. Someone says relocate. Precisely, love bods. Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, people, if you're keeping your surname or taking your husband's surname, it isn't relevant to your culture or upbringing. Then it doesn't really matter. You don't adopt a culture. Exactly. That's precisely it. That's exactly it. Absolutely right. Because it's not the culture you're living, which is fair. You know, I can't hold something over you that you never subscribe to as well. Yeah, I'm about to put it up as well. That he put that post up as well. I put that post up as well. You know. Absolutely, Lynn. I agree this point 100%. Men do respect women who are not doormats. I don't want a doormat. I want somebody who also is in alignment with my vision. That's why I said about, I don't want to. If my first contention with you is about name, I don't think I should even start that process of even going any further, because of how important I consider it to be in terms of unity and as a unit. That whenever I take a decision, it affects you. Whenever you take a decision, it affects me. I believe in leadership that when I do something, it correlates to my environment, but it correlates to my family. So when I take a decision, I can't just take a decision and not think about the impact it has on my family. Right? So from the very beginning, if we're having a conversation about name and you don't agree, I'm already going, we don't need to progress any further. It's fine. I'm not going to beat you down for it. I'm not even going to try and change your mind. I don't want to change your mind. We don't have an alignment of thought process here. We don't. You know what I mean? We don't have an alignment of thought process here as well. You know. So we don't have alignment there. VR said, I heard it's a good thing to keep your name if your child support becomes an issue, as they can come after both your monies. That's fair. I get you. You know, it's, I would take my husband's. I don't care for mine. So Jordan said, I would take my husband's last name. I don't care for mine due to what and who it's connected to. That's fair enough, Jordan. I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Your DP look fire too. I ain't gonna lie to you. You look beautiful, by the way, as well. Okay. All right. Just want to let you know. Anyway, so yeah. Continue onwards. You know, Rebecca said, you don't need to hold strong positions that are wrong. It's okay to change your mind. Absolutely. I believe so. I don't think this is necessarily a wrong or right situation. I think this is a belief equation. Do you believe in that or not? Do you whatever suits you best? Taking your husband's name doesn't determine whether the marriage will be long lasting. Absolutely. I'm not saying that at all. You haven't heard me say that once in the last 1 hour. Haven't made a deduction at all. You know, so that isn't. John said aren't hyphenated though. Okay, fair enough. Lyndon said, it's sweet to take your hubby's last name. That's not the hill to down on my book. I hear you, baby. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to down that hill either. I hear you. I don't want to die on that too. Sing, pray, love. What tribe is your family from? You know what? I can't remember. I can't even. I need to even remember. My brain is even scattered on that. I actually remember, but I don't remember. I'll get it. It'll come to me a little bit later. Trust me, it'll come to me a little bit later, and I'll be able to say it exactly what tribe it is. To be honest, if I pick the wrong woman, there will be an issue. I think it's about having conversations, because I've met really great women, and like I said, I've met great women who want to look. Let me tell you why I said. Do you know why I'm also very? And again, this is more personal for me rather than being general. I remember early on in my dating, I was so happy. I said, do you know what? If you were to marry, I would hyphenate my name. But what I also realized was I was willing to be more passive in that relationship. I was also willing to have more of a, I would like to say, co-op of responsibility. And I don't believe there is a New York, is it every day you guys have siren? What's going on? Every day. I'm in Times Square and it's always noise like, I mean, we on. It's every day. And I realized that it was a co-op of responsibility, and I don't believe in men being co-op of responsibility. You are accountable. If that car doesn't get over the line, we're not looking at women as to why that car didn't go over the line. We're looking at you. Why didn't it get over the line? You know what I mean? Strong leadership look, communities are built. Communities thrive when the men actually do what they're supposed to do. Not when women do what they're supposed to do. When men are supposed to do what they're supposed to do. When they start doing what they're supposed to do, that community starts to thrive. This is why we have such a fractured community, because what's happened in our history is that there's been an attack on black men, and those black men who are left, some of them have not been great. They haven't been great leaders. They've lied, they've stolen, they've killed, they've mistreated black women. And what you realize is the community doesn't thrive until black men stand up, because communities are built on the foundations of men being strong within their community. That's strong physically, financially, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. You have to be strong to build the foundations of your community. When you have men weak within your community, the whole community suffers, because the protection that's needed for women in that community suffers. Women are always complaining about men not marching on the front line. Men ain't doing this, men ain't doing that. And look where our community actually is. When men start I'm not saying that men don't, by the way, we've seen especially African Americans, we all know the history. You've seen what great black men have done and have died for their community. But what I'm saying is, when women are completely complaining about men not doing X, Y, and Z in the community, what happens to that community? It's not to say that women are not important. It's to say women are just as important. We need you, and men and women need men. We both need each other, but we play completely different roles. And if we don't play that role, we are going to suffer, both of us. I cannot do what a woman does, and a woman cannot do what I can do. And we must respect that and move with that, within reason, of course. There are differences. Thank you, Ken. It was Ashanti. It went out of my head. Yeah. You know, I hear you, Dave. I hear you. I beat the because your leadership. Well, that's a question. That's a question. You know, so it's interesting. I added my husband's name, but I kept my dad's. My reason had nothing to do with how I felt about my husband. My father passed away, and I wanted to keep some connection to him. I hear that. But now your husband is now your sole protector. The very thing your father was doing, your husband's now doing. He can never be your father, and he's never going to be a father. But very much now, this is why a father leaves his mother. Look, the father leaves his mother, to cling to his wife, so that two can become one. He's now your protector. He's now responsible for you. If anything happens to you, we don't look If your father was alive, by the way, and my condolences as well, Rebecca, as well, I want to be respectful for that. If your father was alive, if anything happened to you, we would not be looking at your father. We would be looking at your husband. Your father no longer is the protector no more. This is what I'm trying to get people to understand. This shift that happens, and that's why I said I have to raise the bar for us as men to get women to understand, because every time I talk about women, it doesn't hit where we need to hit. I have to raise the bar for men too, so that the men can now begin to speak appropriately, because some of us men are failing, so that women are looking at the failing men and going, well, I'm not going to support and submit to a failing man. Fair enough. I'm not going to disagree with that. I would never ask anybody to do that. But as a man, or husband, you are now responsible for your family. Anything that happens, we're not looking at her parents. We're not looking at her parents or her grandparents or family members. We're looking at you, because now you are the sole proprietor. You are supposed to look after your family. So, whilst I totally respect what you said there, Rebecca, and I honor that, the person now why that name becomes important. Again, and if your husband doesn't care, it's irrespective, then it doesn't really matter. Do you know what I mean? If your husband doesn't care, it doesn't really matter at all. If it works for your relationship, if it works for your relationship, I'm not saying to go and change anything. Keep it as it is. I'm using that as a general principle now. But now your husband is your soul, is the person who's meant to look after you. It's the person who's meant to look after the family. It's the person who's meant to protect, serve. His family's now first. So as a man, I have to raise the bar for myself and say, you are now accountable. And it's one of the things my dad was talking to me about for a long time, and I was wondering, like, why is he so on my neck about this? But it's like, you don't realize, as a kid, I used to just want to move in my own madness and do my own things. I am responsible for you. If you move mad in public, people are not looking at you. They ask you, what kind of upbringing do you have? I'm looking at him like, but it's my decision. No, you're not understanding. Whilst you're still young, coach, if you do something in the eyes of people when you're not an adult, and even when you're an adult, people ask you, what kind of training did he have? Even we do it here on this channel. We ask people, what kind of childhood did you have? What kind of childhood do you have that you act in this way? Because a father figure is very much accountable when things go right and when things go wrong. You cannot escape that reality. That's why as a man you are in a position of leadership by authority, by the fact that you are a man, if you're choosing to be a husband. But that comes with responsibility. You're not free. You are not free to do anything you want to do. You're not free to move anyhow. You're not free to love your wife anyhow. You have to show love in the way that Christ loved the church. Whether you're Christian or not, you obey those rules because you understand what love is. And since God is the original concept of love, you take on those principles, whether you believe in them or not, in order for your relationship to flourish. So men are accountable. They should be. And if they're not accountable, that's not, you know what I mean? Then let's look at them in a different way. You get me? You feel me? So I'm just letting you know, there's certain things. It's a bit mad still. It's out here because, whew. Okay. I hear you. Go. This is actually honestly true, Sing Pray Love. This is why I was saying about them, that as a man you need to teach your daughters how to be vulnerable and not to do that. Do you know what I mean? That's political. Oh, Jordan. Okay, sorry, Jordan. Your mum didn't take his name. Okay, so she took her mum's. So she took your mum's name. I apologize. I think I didn't see that particular position. Sorry about that, Jordan. Apologies. So she took your mum's name, not your dad's name. Took your mum's name. So then her mum's mum. Did she take the dad's name? I'm wondering. I don't know. So yeah, my bad. I got that wrong. I apologize, Jordan, for that. I misrepresented you in that way. So apologies. Okay, that's fair, Millie. That's fair. And see, these are stuff that I say, like, when you have conversations around this kind of stuff, like, this makes sense. Like, your father, like, it was his mother's first husband's name. He never met his man. Would have glad to his father. I get that. I totally understand that. You know, yeah, I get that point as well. I'm on Laurie Harvey energy. My dad taught me how not to get played or settle, and he taught me to give them enough vulnerability rope to hang themselves. New homewrecker in town called Hyphenated. For Mickey Capricorn. I hear you, babe. I hear you. Yeah, I definitely tell you that. I definitely understand what you're saying. Definitely understand what you're saying. Yeah. I definitely understand what you're saying. Can parents teach males how to marriage-minded, how to be prepared mates? Because we stay discussion at what women and girls need to be taught. Men are taught how to sow royal oats and move. Now, this is an important part. Good fathers teach men how to be men without actually saying a word. Let me say it for you one more time again. Good fathers don't teach men how to be good husbands by telling them. They show them. Men are very much observatory creatures, and so the importance of a man is not in what he says per se, although saying stuff is very important because we learn that way too and we take on those teachings. It's what is done. This is why a father figure is so important, because kids oftentimes, both men and women do this as well, they learn through behavior. You telling me you love my mum but then doing things that are contrary to love does not teach me how to love a woman in future. It's not what he says, it's what he does. The problem here is that you're right, there are some men who are father figures who are, and I don't even talk about father figures who are there, I'm talking about father figures who are not even present. And your lack of a presence, okay, is a teachable thing for that young man in his lifestyle. For those father figures who are there but not emotionally present, it's teachable to that young man in future. It's teachable. And I bang on it on this channel every single day. You guys watch me, you see me. If I make a mistake and I say I've done something wrong, I'm going to come out to you and say I made a mistake. I was wrong. Hey guys, I've lived this, so let me say this. I've lived that, or I've lived this, or I've lived that. Guys, I don't really know this one. Let me leave this one alone, right? Because it's not just what I say, it's what I'm actually doing. Now, I can say a lot, but what am I doing? What am I teaching you guys? You ladies and gentlemen who come on this channel all the time, you see what I do. If I'm telling you, listen, when you react in a particular way, if you react in a mad way, and then I show you I react in a mad way, what does it promote? How can I tell you something and not show you by teaching you this? Which is why I take YouTube not like it's YouTube. I take it like I'm being a father figure for women and men in that sense. And I don't mean anyone should become my child, please. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm training myself like a father figure through YouTube. Anything I said you should do, I'm practicing it. Which is why sometimes when I say homosexual marriage, I haven't always done it correctly. That's the honest truth. It's the honest truth, right? So I want to teach. I don't want to just say it. I want to teach. That's how I show people. You know what I'm saying? So yes, you're right. I believe this as well. Men need to show their sons how to behave. That means you got to show me first, Dad, how to do this thing. Don't just tell me, but then don't be doing what you're saying you're doing. You know what I mean? I'm with you on that, bro. Sometimes women want the feminine man until they realize the feminine man, he ain't no good for them. He ain't no good for them. You know? So yeah, it's important. It's important. You know, we've got to show you guys. Wait, Sasuke, did Sasuke release the tea? Sasuke, did you release the tea? Did I miss it? Everybody said, in this life have money, Sha. Bro, listen. Listen, I've got some special people coming through. You know, I've got a few Ready to Love people coming through as well, guys. So listen, come through for the shows. Oh, man. Oh, man. Allegedly. Oh, man. Olivia Pope's about. Oh, man. Oh, man. Olivia Pope's about. Oh, man. Allegedly. All right, guys. It's good time. We gotta go. You know, we can't all be a gladiator. Okay, we can't all be a gladiator. Okay, we're gonna be in DC. Well, I will be in the area of Arlington, but the show will be in Ivy Smokehouse in DC. If you go to the ticket section, you'll see it, guys. So grab your tickets, okay? Grab your tickets, guys. Go and grab your tickets. All right. We're gonna appreciate you guys. All right, let me get out of here because Sean be waiting for me, and I ain't come down the stairs. Much love and appreciation, guys. See you again very soon. The tea is hot. Arrangements. Hi.